Becky and Sarah approached you about directing On the Run. What was it about their script and the concept that resonated with you and made you want to be a part of it?
Yeah, it was this it kind of all happened at once. Becky and Sarah were pitching log lines to Mara Vista slash Tubi, and I really resonated with it was just the beginning of the log line. I resonated with just female-centered characters are like a big thing I'm drawn to, and
Hmm.
complicated family is something I'm very interested in exploring. And those two elements were very much in play in this script for On the Run. And so it became much more of a bigger world as we started developing it together, which is a real pleasure. But yeah, just the core concept, family, witness protection, and two sisters bonding, like that was kind of where it started. So.
Perfect segue to this next question, but you did a deep dive into the witness protection program after Becky and Sarah
Mhm.
approached you. What discovery did you make about the program during that time, and how did that influence the script and allow you to bring that authenticity to the screen?
It's well, there's not much information, I'll say that much. There's like very little. I mean, and it makes sense. I mean, it's witness protection. They don't want you to know how the program is run, so to speak, or there's very the reason why there are very few and far between interviews is because the people are still in witness protection for all we know. So I think that a subject matter that we've seen tackled in movies very wrong. They definitely don't get that right, and that was so like there wasn't all this information readily available. The only thing that I found, which was a big turning point in the backdrop for the film, was Jackie Taylor's podcast, which was absolutely incredible about her. She finally came forward after she left witness protection program and talked about in depth her experiences over 7 hours of incredible information about because she was younger when she was in the program. She was younger than our characters were in the movie, but it was so incredibly helpful because here's this person gave me a firsthand account of what ultimately just fed into the authenticity of what would people know, what they wouldn't know, like how did they get into the program, when were they taken. And so that podcast, along with the book, it's called WITSEC, which is basically the short term for witness protection program. That book was written by the founder of the program, co-wrote it, and General Schur in the 50s when he started. And it takes you through how he started the program and like why he thought it was important, and this Jewish man who was very determined to bring women into the fold too. It was really inspiring actually to read the story. It was very cool.
I love
Yeah.
the care that you always bring into all of your projects. And this is the first feature that Becky and Sarah have written. I feel like that's an experience that you always remember. What was that standout moment for you in your directorial debut? And what did you learn from that experience that you were able to bring to On the Run?
It's such a different tone than what I've been working in the last couple of years. Obviously, I that's my first love is genre, like very specific, grounded, dark, gritty, like all those things I love. So it was like coming back to my happy place again, like to be able
Mm,
to work in this space. And I Becky and Sarah I've known since film school, so I met, they became a team, a writing team after college. So I actually started working with Becky originally in college. She actually wrote all the films that I directed in college. So I already had a shorthand. I knew like what Becky's style was, but then to work with both of them was like a whole new experience and so much fun because we're spitballing ideas, and it was such a collaborative, open, vulnerable, like let's,
mm.
really get to the core of the best notes, the best ideas. And so I felt like every experience is so different, but yeah, it was they're pros, they know what they're doing. So yeah.
It was also really important to you, Becky and Sarah, that you infuse your own experiences with your siblings and into the dynamic between these two characters and how they
Yeah.
come together to not only survive but thrive. How have your siblings shown up for you in a similar way, and vice versa?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I actually haven't met Sarah's. It's so funny. I was like, oh yeah, we haven't all met each other's siblings, but in terms of am just thinking of a random piece of information. Anyway, in terms of for me, it was looking at, I have three younger siblings. I have two younger sisters and a brother, and just thinking about the dynamics between me and my sisters, specifically about how, we grew up very different, fighting, they would steal my clothes and like I would get annoyed with them. And like now as adults, we love spending time together, and obviously we've matured, so to speak. But I
Yeah.
wanted to take that teenage angst and like bickery kind of just like reality of like how sisters argue and fight, frankly. Like how do we bring those kinds of very real dynamics into a lot of the scenes between the two of them? Like that's how, because ultimately they have to put aside that to basically rely on one another, and they get into a bit of a pickle. I won't ruin, no spoilers today, but they get in a bit of a pickle because of they fight. And I think showing those kinds of consequences, and obviously you want somewhere for the characters to go and to grow. So, yes, definitely pulled from my own experiences. But my sisters, I love them and they're great. So
Yeah, there's
yeah.
always a like groundedness in the projects that you've worked on. I think one of the most interesting parts about the filmmaking experience is how each actor brings their own unique process to how they
Yeah.
develop a character and find their way in. What was that collaboration like working with Sophia and Taylor and creating that runway for them to go to the places where they needed to go with these characters?
I mean, we had so little time. It was crazy. We ended up casting Sophia like 4 days before we started
Oh
filming.
wow.
So it was like a boot camp, frankly. I mean, it was just, we just 150%. Like Taylor joined the project a couple weeks prior to Sophia joining. So, so I had a chance to actually meet up in Los Angeles with Taylor, and we chatted about the characters and concerns, and just kind of what, there's some vulnerable scenes for her, so we were able to get on the same page before filming, like what she was comfortable with. She's very open, very dedicated. She had to learn some new guitar riffs for the movie. That was actually her playing, and so it was, she really got into it very quickly. And I mean, from her first tape, I mean, I knew that like Taylor was Paige, and then rightly with Sophia. And I think, obviously I wish Sophia had more time. I would have loved to have built a relationship prior to filming, but we did talk on Zoom and we had a great conversation. And like she's so visual, and her process is very similar actually to how I like to work, which is like creating
Mm.
a playlist on Spotify and creating mood boards in Pinterest, and just kind of getting into the character. And I can tell Sophia is very visual when it comes to how she prepares. So we just kind of, and then it was boot camp on set. It was just like every day spending the time together and getting to know each other's quirks. And yeah, it's definitely was not glamorous. We did not have weeks and months to like rehearse and plan and dream. It was just like go. So yeah,
Time's never a
for me.
luxury, right, when you're working in filmmaking. I feel like so many filmmakers use Spotify playlists as a way to kind of create the landscape
Yeah.
for the film. They need to really share those like post the release of a project. And you've always used,
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
No, I know. I don't know. They should. I mean, it's so fun. You get to like listen to like almost their internal like rhythm of like what they were thinking. So I agree with you.
Yeah, they should definitely do that. You should definitely do that once the film comes out tomorrow too.
Oh, that's a good idea. I think they might be public already, actually. They're like public, I
Oh,
think.
interesting.
Now I'm curious. I'm like, what did I do?
As somebody who's followed your career, you've always used genre as such a cool lever to tell these really timely themes. Was there one in particular that resonated with you in this film? What do you hope audiences take away after it comes out on
Mm.
Tubi?
Yeah, genre is very much, I think, really because of my production design background. I think I'm really
Yeah.
drawn to like really visual, cinematic, genre blending stories. Like that is my MO, and I inject that into everything I do. I can't help myself. It's just like who I am and sort of the artistic flair that I bring, and want to elevate everything I do. So I would say in terms of what I want people to take away from On the Run, I think it just to have a great, it's an entertaining ride. I hope that they, um, I just hope that they recognize how important family is. And even if we come from broken families, maybe it's chosen family, maybe it's not actual, blood related family, but that those people in your lives are ultimately so important. And maybe there's some rift that they're working through with that person, and I just hope that they can kind of see a positive outcome through something so trying as what these characters go on. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, and you've also had a long-standing relationship with Tubi and had so much success with them. How do you think streaming platforms have changed this industry, and how's their trust and partnership impacted your own journey as a storyteller?
Yeah, it is crazy, right? I mean, you can watch movies like they come out, and they're not even the next day you're watching them on a streaming service. And it's fascinating how I think there was almost this gold rush, so to speak, like pre right before the pandemic, and then this little blip after the pandemic of just like content. And no, everyone I knew was like busy, and like nobody was available. And then all of a sudden everything came to a screeching halt, and everyone was like reevaluating everything because of the strikes and all those things. I think what's interesting now with the streaming platform is given so many opportunities to filmmakers to, because of the sheer volume and need of, frankly, content was given filmmakers that maybe wouldn't have had the opportunity are now getting those meetings. They're getting those opportunities now, and especially female and women, frankly. I mean, I think an underserved audience, their voices. And I think it's like those kinds of things are important to Tubi, and their model is shifting as we speak. They're obviously in the news right now and making a lot of incredible like strides and taking really big swings with things. And I think that's a really exciting place to be in the middle of. And I'm excited to see how that shifts goes into the rest of the year and into the future with just how do we this model. And I don't know. I think a lot of us don't know. And there's that uncertainty as filmmakers, like, what does our next job look like? Like, how does that affect like, the quantity of, the Tubi is very much, quality over quantity now. And I think that kind of shift and like just getting as much content out, obviously, to
Mm.
find the viewership. And now it's like, wait, let's pause. Let's maybe shift how we want to do things. So, it sounds like it's a better opportunity in the sense of like leveling up and getting to work on bigger things with a bigger studio and like getting, you know, bigger budgets, more time, but that might mean less opportunity. And it's hard to know, like the checks and balances
Mm.
of streaming. It's very like uncertain. So I think I'm just as much as interested in you are, as you are, in just staying, up to date with all the quickly changing. It's like quicksand. I feel like
Yeah.
every week something's changing. So yeah.